Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live. My name is Efwa Tieko. It's coming to you from the News Hub here at Adisawe, Kanda. Top of the stories, these are: government set to lift ban on small-scale mining. Heavy security at Yendi ahead of funeral of two overlords of Dagbon. On the international front, second Canadian detained in China on same accusation of harming national security as tension between the two countries continue. We have details of all these and more in the next one. Now let's begin from the Northern Region, because the Northern Regional Security Council has assured residents of Northern Region of absolute peace during and after the funeral rites of the Abudu and Andani royals in the region. Chairman of the RECSEC, Salifu Said, at a press briefing in Yendi, revealed leadership of both factions have subscribed to the roadmap by the Committee of Eminent Chiefs. A report by Zubeida Ismail.
Led by its chairman and regional minister Salifu Said, the team first called on both the regents of Dagbon, Kampakuya Na Abdullahi Yakubu Andani and the Bolinlana Abdullahi Mahamadou. Their visit to the two royal brothers was to assure both factions of government support in the trying times. Members of the Regional Security Council visited the old Gbewa Palace at Yendi as the Abdus prepare to perform the final funeral rites of the late Mahamadou Abdullahi. The construction of a 5-bedroom round hut, which commenced about a week ago, is expected to be completed before Friday, December 14, 2018, to allow the Abudu Royal Gate perform the 2 weeks final funeral rites of the late Chief Mahamadou Abdullahi.
Is to be performed in an atmosphere of peace. It is an opportunity for family members, relatives, and well-wishers to come and see how they can interact to support them to perform the funeral. Come pay your homage. So we thank everybody and thank especially the citizens within Yendi Township who have cooperated and supported them. I just want to also appeal that the Yendi Township, you will be seeing a lot of visitors, you will be seeing new security officers. Try to cooperate with them. They are just here for peace.
Meanwhile, the Abudus have already announced a program lineup for the 2-week final funeral rites.
And Zubeida Ismail is our Northern Regional correspondent, and she joins us on the phone line. Zubeida, what is the situation there at the moment in Yendi? Hello, Zubeida. Hello, Zubeida, can you hear me? Hello, Zubeida, are you on the line?
Yendi remains calm, and everybody is busy, especially when they are getting ready to start the performance of the funeral rites of the late Yana Abdullahi Mahamadou in the old Bewa Palace. And so yes, everything is calm here. Families are gathered together. Everyone is trying to lift a finger to ensure that they get a 2-week successful funeral performance season.
So we understand it's a 2-week program. Can you give us the details of that?
Yes, so tomorrow, which is 14th December, we're going to have the regent installation. That is by the Abudu side, and so the Bolalana is going to be installed as the regent, and that is supposed to commence at exactly 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. Saturday we are going to have, which is December 15th, is going to be visitation by chiefs and regents, sacrifices of musketry, drumming and dancing, and it's supposed to be an all-day program. The same thing is supposed to happen on Sunday, and then Monday, on Monday 11th December, we are supposed to have a picture exhibition, cultural display, musketry, and drumming and dancing, which is also expected to be the entire day. Now, Tuesday, 18th December, is cultural display only the entire day. Wednesday, 19th December, is a memorial lecture and then drumming and dancing, which also is going to be the whole day. Now we go to Thursday, 20th December. We have drumming and dancing, visitation by chiefs and regents, and musketry. That is also the whole day. Then we have Friday, December 21. It's also going to be a cultural display. Now from there we move to the Saturday, 22nd December, which is a paying of homage by chiefs and regents, firing of musketry, drumming and dancing, which is also the whole day. Sunday, 23rd December, is Youth Day. It's going to be a day where all royals are going to gather. The youth in the royal families are going to gather and exchange pleasantries and also learn about their kinsmen. Then on Monday, 24th December 2018, we have paying of homage again and musketry and then drumming and dancing, which is also the whole day. Tuesday, 25th December 2018, we're going to have cultural display and musketry, drumming and dancing, which is the whole day. Wednesday, 26th December is also going to be drumming and dancing all day. Thursday, 27th December is going to be Larry Bobo. Now, Larry Bobo is Dagbani word, which means looking for money. It's a tradition that is expected to be upheld during royal funerals. Then finally, on Friday, 28th of December, there's going to be an Islamic prayer at the mosque to climb out the entire 2-week celebration here in Yendi.
Right, so it's a packed 2 weeks. But finally, before you go, we understand that a number of people have arrived there. Can you give us a sense of who and who are there and what the general mood of the people is? Oh, we seem to have lost Zubaida on the line there, but that was Zubaida, our Northern Regional correspondent. So the Northern Regional Security Council is assuring residents of the Northern region of absolute peace during and after the funeral rites of the Abudu and Andani royals in the region. Now, the chairman of the RECSEC, Salifu Said, at a press briefing in Yendi, revealed leadership of both factions have subscribed to the roadmap by the Committee of Eminent Chiefs. So one of the very key issues of this funeral is security, and Adam Bona is a security analyst and joins us for some analysis. Adam, thank you for your time this afternoon. What kind of security would you advise should be adopted as the funeral rites gets underway?
Yes, good afternoon. If you could repeat your question again. I didn't quite get that, please.
Right, so I'm asking the kind of security that you would advise should be adopted with the funeral underway.
Well, I think you are looking at a three-pronged approach with regards to what you call it, security. Where, first of all, you would have the state, providing maximum security using the state resources, and you are looking at what you call it, the citizens, I mean, the ordinary citizens who are what you call it, in and around the immediate vicinity of the funeral grounds and the palaces and the rest. And then the third one is going to be called those who are involved, those who are taking part in what you call it, those who are involved in the funeral itself. I mean, those who are directly affected or involved. And so this is the type of security you are looking at, where you have some form of education, letting them know the parameters where you can move to, limits to which you can do, and a more structured way of policing within the funeral environment or within the event environment. And so this is what I'm looking at. Right
now, so are you worried about the security situation of the place, especially when just a few days ago we had some skirmishes in Boli? Are you worried about the security situation there?
I must admit, I'm not worried at all with regards to the security situation. Partly because I have been able to pick up a lot of intelligence information with regards to the security architecture during and before the funeral, during the funeral, and after the funeral. So I want to believe that if everything goes as planned, we are going to have about 95% success rate with regards to providing proper security during the funeral. It is historic. I mean, I hope that you will have reporters on the ground who will probably report to you how effective the security authorities on the ground are operating. I'm not worried, even though there is that room, that window for others to try to take the laws into their own hands. I believe there is enough security to deal with, any excesses, anyone who wants to take the laws into his own hands. Yeah.
Adam Bona, thank you very much for your insight. Adam Bona is a security analyst. Right now, a 13-year-old girl with special needs has been defiled by a family member. The mother of the traumatized and vulnerable child wants justice to be served in order to protect the victim. The victim's identity or identities of persons in the story have been concealed. Sarah Paku has the rest of the story.
Florence, who suffers cerebral palsy, was diagnosed of a neurological condition at the age of 2 when she first experienced epilepsy. Being the third child, her mother, Madame Norley, explained how difficult it has been to raise her as a single parent.
The
thing started as convulsion. I have roamed seeking for treatment for her, but to no avail. I'm tired, but I cannot give up.
Florence was defiled by a family member residing in the same house with her. Doctor's report shows that she has been penetrated several times.
Okay, it's at the police station. Amoah AMA.
We reported the case at the police station. They say they are still doing investigation. On Thursday, when I sent her to the hospital, it was confirmed she has been raped.
She wants justice to be served.
I really want him arrested because it has been his habit for a long time. As at now, his son is also towing that lane. The government should deal with him based on the law.
The unit police commander at the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSU, at the Peshi Division, Superintendent Margaret Sapati, says preliminary investigation into the case has begun. The police is, however, yet to arrest the suspect at one failed attempt.
Now let's turn our attention to small-scale mining because government is set to lift the ban on small-scale mining tomorrow after a year and a half of the ban. The move was to sanitize the sector. Right, joining me in the studio is Dr. Isaac Akari, who is the National Project Coordinator of the Multi-Sectoral Mining Integrated Project, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Doc, thank you for your time this afternoon. So it's been about a year and a half of the ban. In your estimation, would you say that the ban has achieved the purpose for which it was put in place?
Well, it's a very good question. It will be very difficult, really, to say that we've been very successful because being a technical man, what you normally do is to have baselines. You have something that you can measure against. So normally you would want to know, for instance, the level of land devastation for which you may have to reclaim. And therefore, if you want to measure success, you want to see, well, so much hectares of land have been affected, or acreage has been affected. And therefore, at the end of the day, after 1.5 years, how much has been covered? And those things are lacking. But
if you say they're lacking, what do you mean? We don't have the data on them? Or?
Yes, we don't, because most of what has happened is that we all have a fair idea what has happened out there. And that's how come that we are thinking about a project management approach, which is what the ministry has come out with, so that we move on into making sure that we have clear indicators from which we can measure against. But the question, I want to rephrase the question, what would have happened if we didn't place the ban?
Right.
Perhaps is the better question, is a good question it would have been very disastrous, because the ban, even though we cannot measure, we could see that there's been some, we've stemmed the tide actually of the devastation to some extent.
Have you really? Because we keep still hearing of some pockets of illegal or mining, some form of mining going on, across the country.
Yes. I mean, it's a fact that we're seeing them still mining in the night and all that. And that's one thing that we want to understand as a nation, that we cannot stop this entirely. It has to be managed. Because, the issue is about people's livelihood, and people have come to see that there's so much money in the venture. So they will do everything in their power to make sure that they do it. So there are some recalcitrants who want to defy the ban. And some people have done so. Over the years, they've been playing some cat and mouse game, even with the Operation Vanguard and so on. So it's been very difficult, really, monitoring and sometimes even managing this on the ground. And it brings in the idea then that we need to make sure that we work with the communities themselves, the mining communities themselves, and work with them and the scale miners, the small scale miners association themselves, so that we can actually combat this menace, with the government being at the forefront of making sure that we put the necessary regulations and the nation monitoring and evaluation systems for us to be able to achieve our
But as part of the MMIP project that has been ongoing, I mean, part of it also was to make sure that you work with the communities, you work with the people themselves who are engaged in the mining, to make sure that they themselves do the right thing and then do not allow any form of illegality to go on. You're saying that hasn't worked?
No, the MMIP has not been rolled out yet. I mean, this is some perception we have out there, that it has been rolled out. No. The document was supposed to have been launched, and for some reason we couldn't launch it. But what is important to me is the fact that it's been received attention by the donor community, and the World Bank, for instance, is proposing a $15 million loan and grant, for which we would want to use to be able to do what we want to do. So it's not as if MMIP has done. What has happened is that the interministerial committee, headed by Honorable Professor Boateng, from Boateng, has been doing some activity. And of course, my Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable, Amoah Chairman, is also a member of that committee. And they've been trying to do certain activities in the interim before the MMIP should kick in.
All right. So please just hold on briefly for me, because I've been joined on the phone lines by Godwin AMA, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Godwin, good afternoon to you and thanks for your time. So it's been a year and a half since the ban was put in place. Finally, hopefully, it's going to be lifted tomorrow. What does it mean to you and your members?
Hello, please, I can't hear you if you can speak.
So I'm asking that it's been about a year and a half of the ban, and hopefully it's going to be lifted. What does it mean to you and your members?
Oh, it's a welcoming news for us, and it's something that we've waited for close to 2 years now. So it's something that we are really happy about.
Right. So one of the issues that came up during this period of the ban was that government should engage you and your members, or the people involved in the illegality, in some livelihood programs. Has that happened?
Yes, the government came up with a lot of processes and that we use to help small-scale mining sector to be more sustainable. And I don't think you can get everything 100% before you can move on. But what I can say is that the roadmap that government put in place, they engage the small-scale miners, especially the association. And so far, what they indicated on the roadmap, we've all been able to work on it to the final one, which is the vetting process that the small-scale miners went through. It's not everything that, during the engagement that we proposed that government accepted. But at the end of the day, when it comes to dialogue and then the issue of collaboration, then we all have to compromise in certain ways to ensure that we move forward and then and get a more sustainable small-scale mining sector.
Right. So moving forward, what are your expectations of the sector?
Please, can you come back?
What are your expectations of the sector moving forward?
Moving forward, with the steps, there are so many things that was put in a roadmap, the steps. And as I said, we've gone through it. The next step is to ensure that small-scale sector, the enforcement is looked at properly than it used to be. And then the state institutions like the Minerals Commission, the EP also need to be resourced, and also in terms of both human resource and then the other logistics that they use to work. The association is also working closely with its membership to support in the areas of monitoring our water bodies, and then giving every small-scale miner the responsibility to ensure that water that is being used is used properly, and any dredging, what we call the chamfer machines on the water bodies, they will report to the nearest police station, and then we will also follow. Our task force is also in the working, and as I speak now, they are still working at some of the areas where we've heard that there are some chamfer operations. So going forward, we are going to collaborate more. We are also going to take the issue of monitoring of the sector from our internal systems that we put in place to ensure that this thing is not repeated again.
Godwin, thank you so much for your time. Godwin AMA is the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Back to you in the studio, Doc. So one of the key things he mentioned, and that caught my attention, was enforcement. And it's one of the issues that we really fall behind, you know, in our quest to put up these policies. What will you say? First of all, is the plan in place for enforcement? I mean, we have beautiful plans as to how we want to go ahead. But when it comes to enforcement, do we also have a comprehensive plan for enforcement?
We have under the project document that we call PAID, in our project appraisal implementation document of the MMIP PAID. We are thinking about, I mean, eventually Operation Vanguard will have to be phased out. I mean, you can't have our communities militarized. You can't do that. I mean, nobody will want to have the army there forever. So they may have to pay. So we are training mining guards who are community policing groups, which we are trying to bring out, working with the community themselves, so they will come and enforce. Of course, it's a matter of attitudes. Attitudinal issues are there. We know that it's not going to be perfect, but it's a better alternative than having Operation Vanguard, which is a huge budget, working with them on the ground. And certainly, we're going to have what we call the mining intelligence units. And of course, drones will be used and so on and so on. But it should be done like that. You look at the sequencing and the timing, so that we have a holistic approach into doing this. It is dangerous to be able to pick activities and do them without synchronizing and sequencing them in the project management perspective. So we are thinking that working with the small-scale mining association themselves, together with the mining guards and then the district chief executives, who is also the head of the ISEC, we should be able to enforce some of these things that we are trying to do.
Doc, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Dr. Isaac Akari is the National Project Coordinator of the Multi-Sectoral Mining Integrated Project from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Now, let's move on to some narcotics issues, because the Narcotics Control Board, NACOP, has arrested a 30-year-old Zimbabwean woman at the Kotoka International Airport suspected to be trafficking illicit drug. The suspect, Cynthia Lichonja, was arrested on Monday, December 3, by operatives of NACOP when she disembarked from Ethiopian Airways flight 921. Now, Cynthia Lichonja was accosted while going through arrival formalities. A search in her checked-in luggage in her presence led to the discovery of 7 parcels of brownish powdery substances suspected to be narcotics concealed in false compartments of the suitcase. The substance, when tested, proved positive for speedball, a narcotic substance with a weight of 7.5 kilograms. The suspect admitted that a suitcase was given to her by one Patience, her childhood friend in Zimbabwe, to be sent to an unknown person in Accra, adding that Patience bought her the ticket to enable her travel to Accra. Lichonja is currently on remand in prison custody, while frantic efforts are being made to track down the said Patience and her accomplice to whom the suitcase was to be delivered. Also air your report on the MTN video report for today, and our citizen journalist Daniel in Chibuesiako reports on a broken down caterpillar which has been abandoned on a road at Nkranza North District in the Bunahafu region. after the break. Back, Minister of Communications Esla Owusu-Ekufo says the National Communications Authority will continue to enforce regulations to ensure telcos improve on their service delivery. She noted the recent fines by NCA on all 4 telcos to the tune of 34 million cedis for poor services is a clear example of the regulator's zeal to sanitize the communications industry.
4 network providers were sanctioned for their non-compliance to quality of service, QoS. Minister of Communications Esla Owusu-Ekufo indicated this is going to be an ongoing project.
The NCA has the equipment to do the QoS testing. It announces the results to the telcos. It gives them time to improve upon their KPIs. At the end of that period, it repeats the tests, compares it with the previous one. If they are still failing, they will be sanctioned in accordance with the law.
She was of the view that the sanctions will ensure the telcos improve and provide Ghanaians with quality services.
I am sure that over time, they will be encouraged to improve upon their service once they realize that we are determined to hold their feet to the fire and insist that they live up to the quality of service standards in their own licenses. We will do that.
On interoperability, the communications minister stated it is being monitored as the initial challenges are also being resolved.
All the telcos have connected to the common platform. Early days yet, because there were still some teething problems, but we're continuing to monitor it and we'll put the results before the Ghanaian people.
Now, ADB has announced that it will embark on a renounceable right to issue to raise 383 million cedis to help it meet the minimum capital requirements. This decision is, however, subject to shareholders' approval of the bank's annual general meeting scheduled for Thursday, December 20, 2018.
According to ADB, it is also to seek shareholders' approval to convert a subordinated debt of 150,000 Ghana cedis owed the Bank of Ghana into equity as part of the capital raising process. The recapitalization plan by ADB somewhat nullifies the proposed measure of the bank and the National Investment Bank. As at September this year, ADB's stated capital was 275,000 Ghana cedis. If the Bank of Ghana equity plan is successful, it will push the stated capital up to 425,000 Ghana cedis.
Now, the year-on-year inflation rate for November was 9.3%. This was a decline of 0.2 percentage points from the 9.5% recorded in October. Acting government statistician at the Ghana Statistical Service, Ba Wadie, attributed the fall in the inflation rate to a base drift effect in both food and non-food inflation rates.
The Consumer Price Index, CPI, measures changes over time in the general price level of goods and services that households acquire for consumption. The year-on-year non-food inflation rate for November was 9.7% compared to the rate of 9.8% recorded in October. The year-on-year food inflation rate for November was 8.6% compared to 8.9% in October. 5 regions, namely Upper West, Brown Ahafo, Western, Ashanti, and Northern, recorded inflation rate above the national average rate of 9.3%.
And now back to our MTN video report for today. Now, citizen journalist Daniel Inchibwesiako reports on a broken down caterpillar which has been abandoned on a road at Nkranza North District in the Bunahafo region. Newly crowned Ghana's most beautiful Naomi Obeng, together with the first and second runners-up Ohima and Wikia, have embarked on a thank you tour to some sponsors of the show for their immense contribution to the pageant.
After an exciting 13 weeks of thrilling performances, it was time for the GMB Queens to say thank you to some companies that supported the pageant. The thank you tour began at Silver Star Auto Limited, providers of the brand new SsangYong Trivoli car for the winner, where the girls were welcomed by some executive members of the company. In a congratulatory message, the CEO of Silver Star, Asad Nazri, pledged his support for the Queens and urged them to be icons for change.
You made so many women proud. You have a big responsibility ahead. The women are really looking up to you, and I think that as you carry out your responsibilities, the charities that you are supporting for the year, we would love to find out what your plans are and then see how we can also get involved as part of our corporate social responsibility.
The reigning Queen Abena also expressed her gratitude to the company.
The show is over, but we couldn't have departed without coming here to show appreciation for all your sacrifices. We are blessed to have you. We say God richly bless you and thank you for your massive support.
After all the formalities, the girls were taken around to have a feel of their brand new stock. It all ended at the Kasapreko Company, one of the sponsors of the pageantry. As Kasapreko Company Limited, brand's manager for Kasapreko Spirit, Evans Kofi, congratulated the Queens for a successful show and encouraged them to take up challenging roles.
For us, we heard a lot about the fierce competition that went around in terms of in the house. We were very much involved with the competition that you guys were doing, giving the cocktail sessions and all those ones. And we look forward to a better partnership come 2019. And we wish you guys well in your new journey, because now you guys are popular, now you're famous. And we believe that you carry a long carnival with you anytime you meet with your friends. And we thank you also for your support with that.
Nigerian musician Augustine Miles Kelechi, popularly known as Techno, has returned home after undergoing treatment on his vocal box. UBI Franklin, owner of Made Men Music Group, the music label Techno is signed onto, shared a picture he took with the singer at an event with the caption, "Welcome back, man. Though you can still perform for now, till you are fully recovered, we will tend for others and show love." Last night with Techno for a few shows. Management of the artist on November 26 released a statement announcing that Techno will not be able to perform due to a temporal damage to his vocal box. The statement said Techno tried to downplay the severity of his ailment, hoping it will be short-lived, but after further diagnosis, doctors advised that he takes time out to fully recover. And that's all for Midday Live for today. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Efua Tieku. Have a lovely afternoon.